President of Tutor Martin Lumpkin joins me. President Lumpkin, always great to see you. Thanks for the time as always, and good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Williams. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And I have to say, happy Easter to everyone. The Easter tide, the Easter season continues.
That's right, and of course, same to you and yours. Let me ask your immediate perspective. A new administration, does this create an opportunity for a new conversation, a new direction?
With the installation of the election of the new government, there's always the opportunity to have our perspective brought on to the new minister. And I want to say congratulations to Dr. Dowlat on his ascendancy to the honorable position of Minister of Education. Dr. Dowlat came through the education system from a teacher 3 to principal, and he was a member of tutor, I must add.
And he was also, from what I understand, your teacher while he was going to school at Irie High.
Yes, he was. He was my form teacher as well as my biochemistry teacher. So I know the gentleman in terms of his professional aspect. And as such, with that being said, we look forward to his interaction and his running and leading the Ministry of Education. He has many years of experience within the education system. So he is quite aware of the challenges that take place. Now being at the position of the minister, we are very hopeful, optimistic, cautiously as well too, because we would have had our instances in the past where you had change in government and change in ministers. And as such, we are going to work with the honorable minister as far as possible, and we will seek the best interest, because it's always about the best interest of our members and by extension, the education system in Trinidad and Tobago. So we are optimistic at this time.
Before we get into issues of infrastructure and the actual, fit for purpose in terms of at least buildings, let's deal with the brass tacks, which is the curriculum. What are some recommendations you want to bring to the new minister and bring to the new administration?
In terms of the primary sector, the curriculum is really packed, and it impacts negatively on our educators, and it will redound also negatively to the students as well too. Within the curriculum, it is to us needs to be adjusted and look at what is the purpose of education in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is throughout, both primary and secondary. What are we preparing our students for? In this instance, we are preparing them for a standardized test, both at the primary and the secondary level. And so we are hoping that there can be a serious reform in terms of curriculum and in terms of delivery of curriculum as well too. And the Honorable Prime Minister spoke about laptops for SEA students, those going from primary into secondary. And in the past, we would have supported such, but that cannot be the means all and the end all of it. There must be the support that is coming after the acquisition of those laptops, those technology, and we speak about connectivity, especially at home, and how are we going to use those laptops to enhance the delivery of the curriculum and teaching and learning. And so the SEA and we take note of the minister's position of attempting to have that a little more palatable for the students and easier. However, we have had that a challenge in terms of it being a placement examination, and we're hopeful that there can be the provision of adequate places in the secondary school, such that this high-stake examination can be really reviewed. We're not going to say abolished completely, but it can be reviewed as well too.
Because I was not going to head to that, because I'm thinking let's be revolutionary. Why can't we, or is there a particular way? Okay, the exam, I guess we'll have to go through the process, but it can't be the be-all and end-all, because it's putting children and parents through extreme stress. And I'm wondering if this is an opportunity for us to be revolutionary in our thinking administration, our planning, could we take into account the course marks, the child's performance from standard 1 and watch their gradual build and growth up until standard 5 and then place them? Is that something that could be done?
There is a possibility, and when the previous government, 2010 to 2015, under Dr. Gopi Singh, attempted to have the continuous assessment component leading up to the SCA, it generally is a good idea to have that component almost like SBAs in secondary school. So you're looking at whether you want to have a summative examination as opposed to a formative examination. Now, what we were objecting to is the implementation of such, the way it was done. And we believe that if it can be implemented in a different way, phased in from standard 1 come up. Now, the thing is that we have such a mindset in this country that every examination that you do, that students are subjected to, there's that competition and there's that need to do so well that you go and you give lessons and send your children for lessons. It should not be in terms of that. So the whole idea of the continuous assessment, there are components that can be implemented and there are those that need to be tweaked properly such that when the students get to standard 5, they have gone through the rigors, we will figure out all the kinks and so, and as such, it can improve in terms of assessment-wise. And again, and we are willing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, because I just want my mind is in a revolutionary mood, I guess, this morning. I'm thinking,
sure, how
possible is it for us to streamline schools to cater for the needs of certain children? So again, there are certain schools, we know the academic acumen is par excellence. And I guess the top grade academic students will filter into those schools. But what about the schools where, let's say, a child might be able to specialize in a particular sport, or they might specialize in a particular craft, or the children who are creative from the primary level? How revolutionary, how hard is it for us to make that possible, that certain schools could be specialized and a child will know in advance if there's a particular talent and skill set? Around the 4 corners of the country, there are certain schools that can cater for that particular need. Is that something possible?
It is, Mr. Williams, once you have the fortitude and you have that vision. And I want to thank you for bringing up that particular point, because even when you look at the technical vocational area, we tend to streamline when they reach at the secondary. But I am certain that at the primary level, we can identify students who have that knack for the technical vocational and not the mainstream academic areas. And it is important as a country to recognize that all the professions are equally important in our country. One is not more important.
I think we have a little glitch there. Let's see if we could get back on stream. Okay, great. So we're back on stream now. Go right ahead,
yeah,
President.
Sorry about that. Maybe connectivity on my end. So I was saying thank you for within the school compound. I am not too certain the utilization of officers from the TTPS will be, it may in the short term, but while you are implementing that, there has to be other areas within the school and external to the school as well too. That whole mindset of having officers to patrol and to keep the peace, yes, it is good, but within the education system, there has to be other areas to guide the students to stay out of trouble. Now, we're also mindful of the fact, and I am just speaking of what we would have heard, that the TTPS is also a challenge in terms of manpower. So when you deploy, there are over 600 schools in Trinidad and Tobago. So when you deploy those persons within the schools, then you have a shortage. How long are they going to be there for during the school? And what powers will they exercise within the schools as well too? Within the secondary schools, you have the safety and health officers. There probably needs to be more of those employed within the schools, school security officers as well too. And when we speak of all of this, Mr. Williams, Please appreciate we're also speaking about Tobago as well.
Of course.
Because they have their challenges.
Yes.
And I am hopeful as well that the new Minister of Education will shortly meet the Secretary for Education and have their issues and concerns ventilated and look for ways to bridge those gaps and to work together, because as you know, there are challenges within Trinidad and Tobago as well.
I know we must have the personnel to make this particular recommendation a reality, but my question to you, how soon do you think we'll have the capacity to ensure that Spanish becomes mandatory from primary right up the road to secondary school? I think it should be our second language. Do we have enough teachers to handle it? Is that anything within the immediate future you see as a reality?
Well, within the primary school, it is done at a basic level, very basic as well. And this is also, what we speak about, this crowded and this overloaded curriculum as well too. So the primary school teacher is the general practitioner and has to deliver all of the subject areas within the school day and the academic year as well too. And one of the things that always impact on a primary school and the primary school students and teachers is the SEA. And when you are leading up to this high-stake examination and you're tested in 3 areas, then the focus will be on those areas leading up. And you can well appreciate, because you get pressure from not only the Ministry of Education to perform well, but from parents as well too. And then within your profession as well to your professional aspect, you want your students to achieve. And as such, that area in terms of Spanish needs to be relooked in terms of that delivery as well. In secondary school, students have the choice in terms of languages, but at the primary level. So there has to be a relook on how we're going to do this. If Spanish is the second language and has to be taught as such, there are methodologies and pedagogy by which you would deliver a second language. And when we talk about second language, really and truly, the standard English language in Trinidad and Tobago should be taught as a second language and Spanish as a third language.
Standard English as a second language?
Yes, because of our Creole language.
Yes,
you understand how we speak, our syntax and so.
Yeah.
And that's passed down generational. And as such, that's our first language.
It's true. It's true. I never thought about it that way, but that makes some sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're teaching standard, because we don't usually speak standard English in the homes, our children are exposed to that, then it should really be done in that way, and Spanish then integrated in a way as well too. And we also have the patois, which is dying, but I am always fascinated by the patois as well too.
For sure.
But languages, they have their way of being integrated into our system as well too. And as such, so the entire curriculum and the purpose, it has to be linked with purpose of education as well as national development as well too. And as such, we have to put as much resources behind these as possible. Just like the previous administration and the previous Minister of Education, we are quite aware of the economic challenges in Trinidad and Tobago. We'll always be aware of that. However, we feel that education is such an important aspect in our country and in our nation that the focus has to be given in there, and the resources have to be given to, and supported to our educators from ECCE. And that's another area that we are hopeful that we can get some movement for our ECCE teachers to primary, to secondary, and even tertiary.
Well, President Lumpkin, we'll have to stick up in there for now. I know there's so much more to go through. So next we touch base, we'll definitely have a continuation, and you let me know as to how some of the early meetings and the interaction is with the new minister. Again,
very, very quickly, the Honorable Minister has reached out to us concerning the vacation repair program, and we are working with him in terms of that. So
fantastic.
I thought I'd also say that.
All the best to you indeed.